Welcome, Jet fans. I am Anthony, and this is another episode of the Jets Life podcast. The Jets are 5-2 after a win against Denver, a 16-9 win, hard-fought defensive battle, which had a lot of injuries and a lot of repercussions to come out of that game. So there's a lot to discuss today, including a trade that the Jets have made to replace one of their injured players, Breece Hall. But we're going to start off with some of the positives. That 16-9 win against Denver on the road against Brett Rippon. Obviously, Russell Wilson was downgraded out on Saturday. Did not play against us. But Brett Rippon came in and played 60 minutes, and we did exactly what we needed to do against him. We limited the passing game, controlled the run. There's a couple of drives in the middle of the game where right after we scored our touchdown, the 62-yard run by Breece Hall, which obviously we're going to get into some of that stuff soon. The Broncos came back and responded right away with a touchdown of their own. They missed the extra point, so we retained our lead. But it was just a long game, especially for the offense. The offense could not muster really much of anything for most of the game. Zach was running for his life. The offensive line took a major blow with the loss of AVT, which we found out yesterday wasn't just a minor injury. It's going to end his season as well as Breece Hall's. So that offensive line has a lot to fix, especially with the Patriots coming into town. Patriots looked bad yesterday against Chicago, but you know that as bad as they looked, Bill's going to try and get them, straighten whatever issues they had out. They're going to come in and want to beat us just like every other time they play us. But with the offense, Zach, say what you want about his performance, it was not good. It was a lot of running backwards, a lot of craziness. A lot of that has to do with the offensive line just basically letting people walk into the backfield, and he had to move away. But you'd like to see the offensive coordinator LaFleur see this stuff going on and try and game plan around it. It's almost like as soon as Breece Hall left the game, he didn't have the same confidence in the running game to keep things moving, and didn't really pivot to a new game plan as you would expect. But a lot of running away from Zach Wilson, and it's what we liked from him coming out of BYU is his ability to extend plays and make something happen. But sometimes you just got to understand when the play's over, and I think that's something that I don't know how you teach a quarterback that's how you do it. Probably just comes with the experience and understanding. If you run back there long enough, eventually just throw it away because he had linemen coming after him all day long, and jumping on him even after the play and stuff like that. We just we don't want to go back to Joe Flacco. He's just going to get himself hurt that way. Just be smart. If you get that extra few seconds, look downfield. If a defense like Denver is going to keep coverage on these wide receivers for as long as possible. So if you don't see anything opening up, or you don't see anticipate a quick opening, the smartest idea is just to throw it away. I mean, he took a couple of weird sacks. That one sack where, it looked like it was a fumble. Maybe his wrist hit the ground before the ball is technically going loose. Just stuff like that. The thing that we can say over the last few games, even though they haven't been great from him, is he hasn't made the big mistake. That was very close to being a big mistake. You would have given Denver the ball inside. I think they were at the 30-yard line, something like that, on our 30-yard line. So at least in field goal range at that point. The way the defense was playing this game, I don't think they scored a touchdown just because of how great we were playing, but momentum shifts happen, and that was definitely a situation where you put the defense in a really bad position when they've been playing great for you the last few games. So yeah, just cleaning things up from Zach. Just throw it away. Live to play another down. Don't find yourself getting sacked, 25 yards behind the line of scrimmage. I mean, these are the things that, just set you back. I mean, there was one series where we had like a 7 or 8 yard run on first down for a 2nd and 2, and then next play was a sack, and then I think there was a holding penalty or whatever it was. Just, moving backwards kind of game for the offense overall. But I mean, you knew it was going to be that way. This Denver defense isn't something, you know, we knew what they were. I mean, they've held every offense, including Herbert and the Chargers the week before. They're just a dominating defense, and we went in there and played that same exact brand on the defensive side of the ball. I think we've said enough about the offense side for now, so let's go over to the defense and just talk about how fantastic this defense has been. The pass rush was not there as much as it was in the previous weeks, so Denver definitely did their homework, contained the pass rush for the most part. The few times that they did get through, Quinn Williams on that one hit on Brett Rippon caused for an errant throw that Lamarcus Joyner was able to pick off, and again, momentum shifting got us right into field goal range at that point. Um, but this secondary and these linebackers just flowing to the play, and the safeties obviously as well. Just flowing to the ball, like just quick, just you just there's no openings. It just and yes, I understand. We played Brett Rippon, definitely out there. We understand the Jets only play backup quarterbacks, but um, I mean, you just gotta play who's in front of you. But this secondary and these linebackers just all over the field. As soon as Denver made a catch, outside of a few plays by Jerry Jeudy that kind of just crossing routes that he just got lost in coverage. That's got to get cleaned up as well. But overall, I mean, Sauce Gardner was again a beast. And what is Brett Rippon doing late in the game, especially on two fourth downs, challenging Sauce on almost the exact same play, two different players. I think the first time it was Cortland Sutton. Sauce was able to break it up. Second time, I want to say he was covering Hamler, and an inaccurate throw. Whitehead had a chance at the interception, but fourth down, just whatever happens. Um, but yeah, like I said, this defense was just outstanding. They are improving every single week. They're proving that they can do it different ways. They can beat you with a four-man pass rush, which they've done multiple times this season. And they're proving that they can just out cover these receivers. Um, Big test coming up, in a couple weeks when we play Buffalo to see how the secondary holds up against that. I think that's going to be a situation where it's got to be everybody. We got to be winning on the pass rush, and we got to be winning in the secondary for something like that to happen. But that's a conversation for next week. Um, just overall outstanding special teams. Another huge game for them. Braden Mann, as bad as he was week one, has been just absolutely incredible these past few weeks as well. Pinning Denver inside their own 20 twice, including inside the one. I think it was Eccles that had the caught the bounce and down to inside the one. Just incredible. Greg Zuerlein, another guy that struggled week one. He's only had, I believe, one miss since week one. That came last week. But just overall, this team is playing in all three phases. Offense, not turning the ball over, understanding the flow of the game, understanding the importance of complementary football, and just if you can't do anything, try and get a first down or two and punt it and make Denver have to kind of rebound with a couple of first downs of their own. If they don't, you get better field position. It's just, this is something we haven't seen from this team in a really long time, is that complementary football aspect of it. You're not going to be able to score 20 plus points every single week. You're going to have to win a few 16-9 games over the course of a season. And that's exactly what they did this week in Denver. Just, another, celebration kind of game for the home team, where Denver, I think they were celebrating the 98 team. Makes sense. They played us in 98 AFC Championship game, but, uh, you know, we were able to, ruin the big party and get a W on the road, increase our record to 5-2. Everything about that game just keeps you excited about the direction of this defense. Obviously, like we said, offense has to improve, but we'll take the wins as they come and move on to New England. Now, obviously, talked a lot of good about the progress of the game. Some terrible news over the past 24 hours. The injury news from Breece Hall, you knew it was something serious. Cross your fingers that it wasn't as serious as we expected. But unfortunately, the truth came out, and it is a torn ACL, so he's going to miss the rest of the season. Breece Hall was definitely on pace to being offensive rookie of the year. Just hands down, just has been that good for this team. Um, you know, arguably top, and definitely a top 10, arguably a top 5 running back for what he's been able to do. Since season started. I mean, week one he was didn't wasn't really part of the game plan too much. It's just been little by little every week they've been feeding him the ball more, feeding the ball more to the point where he was our offense. So we lose a big piece to the offense, one big piece to the offense, and in addition to that, a huge piece to our offensive line. As bad as our offensive line has been, the one piece that has been there through everything was AVT, and to see him go off the field in the second quarter, and you know, it sounded like at first it may have been serious, but you know, the obviously the Breece Hall news and our understanding of what potentially a Breece Hall injury was kind of overshadowed what could have been also another injury for AVT. To lose him as you know struggling as this offensive line has been, that guy's played right guard this year, left tackle this year, right tackle, left guard last year. He plays everywhere. He's what you want from a team player. He's just been fantastic for us. And this injury news is not good at all for the status of the offensive line. Um, Joe Douglas has brought in plenty of offensive linemen. Herbig has come in, played pretty decent at right guard. Um, and as soon as AVT went down and Cedric Agbui came in, you could definitely feel you know, that step back from the offensive line. Does that go with gelling? Does that go with not, working with the team? Maybe a lot of that's true, but we really need this offensive line to pick it up, especially with the loss of Breece Hall, and especially with the struggles of Zach Wilson this week. Can't have that offensive line be an issue because the Patriots will attack that. If they feel this offensive line can't hold blocks, they're going to come in and blitz as much as possible, confuse the offensive line, and apply pressure to Zach. And we all know the stats for Zach when he's kept clean, he's pretty accurate, pretty good with the ball. When he's under pressure, it's not been as clean, not been as pretty. So got to figure something out. Either one, Zach's got to handle pressure a little bit differently and try and get the ball out quicker and figure out ways to get the ball into these playmakers. We have Garrett Wilson, Corey Davis, which another one that we're not sure of the injury status. The two tight ends, and obviously the major question mark of Elijah Moore. What's he going to come back and be? I would expect he's not getting traded, as we all know, and I expect if he really doesn't like you or whatever his issue is, he just wants more targets. Time to build it in. As much of as much of a selfish act it was from Elijah Moore, it's 100% true. The guy needs to be getting the ball in his hands. The guy needs to be getting targets. Yes, I mean he's gotten a lot of targets over the past 2 years, but or 17 games he's played. I'm not gonna say he hasn't been targeted, but over the course of this year, it just doesn't seem like he's been targeted, especially correctly. I feel like a lot of his targets are downfield, 50-50 balls. I don't know that's really, his best use of his skill set. I think that he's more of a guy you want to get the ball in his hands and allow him to make a move to make someone miss and, turn, a 10-yard gain or a 5-yard gain into, a lot more than that. That's the kind of player he is in my eyes. I mean, last year I remember when he went down with injury, Barrios was getting a lot of those end around plays, and that's Barrios' role now. But, Elijah Moore is kind of same style of player that you want to do those kind of plays with. I mean, you know how much confusion you can put on a defense when you have Barrios back there. You don't know if he's getting the ball. Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson's another one. Just get the ball in his hands, make him, allow him to make a man miss and get a few extra yards. These are the things that you really got to see this offense, dial up now. Um, you know, I think we got a little, one-sided a little bit with the whole Breece Hall thing. He was, grinding out multiple, you know, 10-yard runs and just getting yards in chunks. So when that's happening, you really don't need to, worry too much about the offensive like passing game. just passing, to kind of keep the defense honest, which is what they were doing the past couple of weeks. But a huge task for Mike LaFleur to kind of clean this stuff up, and what might make things a little bit easier is the recent addition of James Robinson from the Jaguars. Uh, steal, it just seems like a steal, another Joe Douglas special. Just getting a running back that 24 years old, 2 years off from a rookie year where he had 1,400 yards of all-purpose. Um, just another a guy you can kind of get right in there and take that Breece Hall role to some extent, help Michael Carter in that running game because I mean that not saying Michael Carter couldn't handle it, but maybe being the full time running back isn't his role. I mean that's what he was in college. He was joint committee with Javonte Williams of Denver. So you really, James Robinson coming in, that was a huge add. It proves a lot to this team that we're not messing around. This is not just, this isn't just a regular rebuilding year. This isn't just a regular progress year. We're 5-2, and big games coming up. The next 4 games are really going to show, where we are. If we can go 3-1 during this stretch of 2 versus New England, 1 versus Buffalo, and then obviously the 4th game against Chicago. I mean, that just really kind of is just a huge stepping stone to where this team can eventually get to. But big ad by Joe Douglas to come to quickly identify a weakness and attack it. Gives Michael Carter the chance to be that complimentary back with somebody, which I think fits him the best. Um, but you know, with all that being said, all these injuries, everything, looking bad, looking terrible right now. The fact that we're able to get a upgrade, not an upgrade, but an upgrade to an overall unit for the rest of the year in James Robinson, I think that's definitely a huge, huge lift to this offense from what it was just 24 hours ago. And for it to be a 5th round pick, I know it's 6 conditional, but I think he only has to have like 250 yards rushing the rest of the year for it to become a 5th. So it's a 5th round pick that we're giving up for a running back for the rest of this year, and that a running back that we can tender next year as a restricted free agent and potentially keep for another year. And what that 3-headed running back trio would look like with Breece Hall, Michael Carter, and now James Robinson. I mean, you're talking probably a legitimate running back trio going into 23. But for now, we're in 2022. The Jets are 5-2. Nobody expected this. I thought best case scenario out of these first 9 games was 5-4. We've got our 5 wins. As far as I'm concerned, we're playing with house money moving forward for these next 2 weeks, but got to get a win against New England. It's just, you know, we readjust our expectations as the season goes on, and it just looks like New England is lost right now. They don't know who their quarterback is. It seems like at some point they're just gonna stop this Zappy experience and go back to Mac Jones. But for what Mac's been, I mean, he hasn't looked great himself. This season, I know he had his injury in the middle, but he didn't have a good start to the season. Yesterday looked okay until that interception just threw it up there. No reason to throw that up there like that. I think it was a first down play. But regardless, I mean, got to get a win against New England and just make that Buffalo game just that much more important. I mean, if we can get into that game, either tied or just a game behind Buffalo, I mean, we're at home. Anything is possible in this league, and we saw Jacksonville beat Buffalo last year. Obviously, trap game type of situation with that, but and Buffalo will be ready to play us. They'll know more or less what we are after the New England game. They'll know what they'll have the game plan for. But this is what we wanted. We wanted a team that was competing deep into the season. Didn't think we'd be saying going into that Buffalo game that might have a chance to, be attacking for first place. But a win against New England makes that 100% possible. So, and just a lot to be happy about. A lot to look forward to. Even 2023 and beyond. Breece Hall will be back, and he will be what we saw out of him this year. Might take some time, with the knee injury, but just nothing but positive that we saw out of Breece Hall, and this team is just continuing to grow. And if quarterback Zach Wilson, if he can figure it out, we can be a major player going into November and December. Just as bad as it looks right now, just keep in mind we're 5-2, and we're definitely in the middle of this whole playoff conversation. Um, you know, we're not losing sleep on this because a player went down or two players went down. It happens across the league, and unfortunately happened to two of our key players. Still got to play the last 10 games. Still got to play them, and we'll be playing them with backups that have to come in, and they'll have to work their way in, and as Zach said, grow a pair. Because we're gonna, with November, December coming up, big boy football's coming, and this team has got to be ready, and I think they will be. This coaching staff has done a pretty good job after a kind of questionable start to the year. We're on a 4-game winning streak. Let's make it 5, and even more than that in our hopes. So I want to thank you for joining, and I'll be having another episode on Friday to go a little more in detail on the Patriots game as we prepare for what should be a huge game against the Patriots at home. That stadium should be really loud and ready to go after these 2 road wins for this team. So time for us to have a homecoming celebration. Thank you for joining, and have a great day.